Every MLB story too dark for ESPN. The tragic death of Ray Chapman? When you think of baseball, you think of popcorn, seventh-inning stretches, and walk-off home runs. But on August 16, 1920, the world saw how deadly the sport could be. Ray Chapman, a solid, well-liked shortstop for the Cleveland Indians, stepped into the batter's box at the Polo Grounds. Yankees pitcher Carl Mays threw a hard, submarine-style fastball right at him, but Chapman didn't move. Why? Because he never saw it. The ball was caked in spit and dirt, and it blended into the murky twilight. And remember, this was before batting helmets even existed. The pitch cracked against Chapman's skull with a sound so loud, Mays thought it hit the bat. But it didn't. Chapman fell to the ground, tried to stand, collapsed again, and died the next morning at only 29 years old. Mays never faced charges, but the strange part was that he never apologized either. He just kept playing like nothing happened. Fans were furious, but the league barely reacted. In fact, helmets weren't required until 1971, 5 decades later. Chapman's death was a wake-up call. He remains the only MLB player to die from an in-game injury. And honestly, if this hadn't happened, who knows how long it would have taken for MLB to finally care about protecting its players. The disgraceful Black Sox scandal. Imagine betting on your favorite team to win the World Series and they purposely throw the game. That's what happened in 1919. The Chicago White Sox were stacked with Babe Ruth-level talent all across the roster. Everyone thought they'd dominate the Cincinnati Reds. Instead, they played like little leaguers. The fix was so obvious, people started whispering. And then, it broke wide open. 8 players took bribes from gamblers to lose on purpose. Shoeless Joe Jackson, a batting legend with a .375 average that series, was one of them. Though he claimed he never took part in the fix, the damage was done. In court, they were acquitted. But Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, baseball's first commissioner, banned them for life. Fans were stunned, and people lost faith in the game. It wasn't just a scandal, it was baseball's version of a nuclear meltdown. The worst part is, gambling in baseball was already out of control, but owners ignored it until it blew wide open. It's a permanent stain on MLB history. And more than 100 years later, people are still arguing whether Shoeless Joe deserves a place in Cooperstown. Sadly for him, he's still not in. Thurman Munson's mysterious plane crash. Thurman Munson wasn't just the Yankees catcher, he was their soul. A gritty, no-nonsense leader with a cannon arm and a heart of gold. But on August 2, 1979, that heart stopped beating. Munson had just finished practice and decided to work on landing his new jet, a Cessna Citation he bought to fly home to his family on off days. He loved flying, but he was still learning. And on that day, during a landing attempt near Akron-Canton Airport, something went horribly wrong. He misjudged the runway, clipped some trees, crashed, and the plane caught fire. His 2 passengers survived, but Munson didn't. The fire pinned him in the cockpit and he was gone at just 32. The news shattered the team. Reggie Jackson, Lou Piniella couldn't hold back tears. Yankee Stadium fell silent. And yeah, questions flew. Why was he piloting his own jet? Should athletes even be flying themselves around? Well, nothing changed. No new rules, no pilot restrictions for players, just grief. And a bronze plaque in Yankee Stadium. Thurman's death hit hard because he wasn't reckless, he was a family-first guy. But one mistake in the sky left a team, a fan base, and a sport completely crushed. Steve Olin and Tim Cruz boating accident. Spring training is supposed to be about basking in the sun, practice, team bonding, and maybe some golf. But on March 22, 1993, it turned into tragedy for the Cleveland Indians. Pitchers Steve Olin, Tim Cruz, and Bob Ojeda went out for a late-night boat ride on Little Lake Nellie. It seemed like no big deal as they were just unwinding. But the boat was going full speed. It slammed into a dock that wasn't lit properly, and Olin died instantly. Cruz died the next day. Ojeda was critically injured but survived. And then the details came out. Cruz, who was driving, had too much alcohol in his system. No life vests, no safety measures, just a night that should have ended with laughs, but instead ended in funerals. Olin's wife was pregnant, Cruz left behind 3 kids, the Indians canceled games, the team was numb, and MLB barely made a peep. No formal response, no new rules, just another preventable accident left to fade from memory. It wasn't just about the crash. It was about what could have been avoided if anyone had spoken up or taken safety more seriously. This was the kind of tragedy that changes everything, but somehow didn't change much at all. Josh Hancock's DUI. Fatal car crash. Josh Hancock's death wasn't just tragic, it was painfully avoidable. On April 29, 2007, the Cardinals reliever got behind the wheel after a night out. He was drunk, twice the legal limit, he was texting, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and he had weed in the car. He crashed into a tow truck and died on the spot. Hours earlier, he'd pitched in a game like everything was normal. But clearly it wasn't. Teammates were stunned, the team was blindsided. And then came the finger-pointing. His family sued the Cardinals, claiming they enabled his behavior. The team pushed back, saying they had warned him. But everyone knew the truth. There were signs. People just looked the other way. After his death, the conversation shifted for a minute. MLB teams started banning alcohol in clubhouses. But there was no league-wide crackdown, no major reform, and no real accountability. Another athlete lost too young because no one hit the brakes. Josh was just 29. And the worst part? He's not the only one. His story is part of a disturbing pattern in pro sports. Silence, tragedy, then nothing. The fatal shooting of Lyman Bostock. Lyman Bostock wasn't just a good player, he was a good person. He hit .336 in his second MLB season, but still thought he hadn't earned his paycheck. So, what did he do? He gave a month's salary back to the fans. Then, just a few hours later on September 23, 1978, everything changed. While visiting family in Gary, Indiana, Bostock accepted a ride from a woman and her sister-in-law. That's when Leonard Smith, the woman's estranged husband, pulled up and fired a shotgun into the car. Smith meant to shoot the woman. Instead, he killed Bostock, a total stranger who was at the wrong place at the wrong time with no second chance. Bostock was just 27 and hitting his prime, on and off the field. But here's where it gets even worse. Smith was found not guilty by reason of insanity, institutionalized briefly, then released back into the world with 0 jail time. The MLB didn't investigate. The league offered a few condolences and then carried on. But his teammates were shattered, the fans were outraged, and baseball lost a star who could have been great. Lyman's legacy isn't in his stats, it's in how he lived, and how unfairly his life was cut short. Roberto Clemente plane crash and his missing body. Roberto Clemente wasn't just playing for stats, he was playing for purpose. By 1972, he had 3,000 career hits, 15 All-Star selections, 2 World Series titles, and a reputation as one of the best outfielders of all time. But what really defined Clemente wasn't what he did between the foul lines. It was how much he gave off the field. So, when a deadly earthquake hit Nicaragua, Clemente didn't just donate money. He got on a plane and insisted on going, because he suspected the aid wasn't being delivered to the people who needed it most. But the plane was overloaded, the crew was unqualified, and the whole trip was sketchy. Just after takeoff from San Juan on December 31, 1972, the plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Sadly, his body was never recovered. Clemente was only 38, and the world mourned. MLB posthumously waived the 5-year rule to put him in the Hall of Fame immediately. They even named the Roberto Clemente Award after him. Tyler Skaggs' drug overdose and the Angels scandal. Tyler Skaggs had just pitched days earlier. He was 27 and had great potential. Then, July 1, 2019 came. The team was in Texas, but Skaggs didn't show up for the bus. The staff had to check his hotel room, and what they saw was shocking. They found him dead. At first, it looked like a horrible accident, but then came the toxicology report. Skaggs was loaded with fentanyl, oxycodone, and alcohol, a lethal combo that can take any life. What followed wasn't just sad, it was sinister. A full investigation revealed that Eric Kay, an Angels media relations employee, had been supplying Skaggs, and possibly other players, with opioids. In 2022, Kay was convicted of distributing drugs resulting in death. But how many others were involved? How many stayed quiet? MLB didn't even test for opioids unless players opted in, and in a culture where pain is expected and treatment is silent, Skaggs didn't stand a chance. His family sued. His teammates were stunned, and the league scrambled to update its drug policy. But it was too late. Boston Red Sox racial abuse incident against Adam Jones. May 1, 2017 should have been just another game. Instead, it turned into a national headline. Orioles outfielder Adam Jones took the field at Fenway Park and was met with peanuts and racial slurs. Fans hurled the N-word at him from the stands. Jones had heard things before, but this crossed a line. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't isolated, and it wasn't just him. Other black players came forward to confirm. The Red Sox moved fast, banned a fan, issued an apology, and promised change. But the truth is, this was more than a few bad apples. It was a system rot. Racism in baseball didn't get left behind in the Jackie Robinson era. It's still in the crowd, still in the clubhouse, and still in the cracks of the sport. MLB responded with hotlines and public awareness campaigns. But you can't fix racism with a PSA. This moment forced baseball to look in the mirror. It wasn't just about Fenway Park. It was about every stadium that stayed silent. Because Adam Jones didn't just call it out. He made sure nobody could ignore it anymore. Houston Astros sign-stealing disgrace. November 2019. Baseball's dirty little secret exploded into public view. The Houston Astros, yes, the 2017 World Series champs, got caught in one of the most blatant cheating schemes in modern sports. Here's how it worked. A live camera in center field fed real-time catcher signals to the dugout. Someone decoded the signs, then someone else banged a trash can. 2 bangs for a curveball, maybe 1 for a changeup. And just like that, the batter knew what was coming. Not instinct, not skill, just cheating. Former pitcher Mike Fiers blew the whistle, and the fallout was nuclear. MLB launched a full-blown investigation. The Astros got fined $5 million, lost draft picks, and manager A.J. Hinch got suspended. So did GM Jeff Luhnow. But the players? Not one suspension. Not one fine. They got immunity for telling the truth, and the World Series title was still theirs. No asterisk, no revote, just a big middle finger to every fan who thought the game was sacred. Opponents fumed. Other teams demanded accountability, but MLB said, case closed. What this scandal really showed was that if you cheat just right, the league might look the other way. But what do you think about MLB's darkest story? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe for more baseball action.